Something went wrong the moment Jake stepped over the threshold of our apartment and smelled of coconut mixed with sea salt. It wasn't the scent of the new body wash from Bath & Body Works or the residual scent of the car air freshener. No. The smell was all too familiar and completely out of place. It clung to his shirt like invisible evidence. And when I hugged my husband, it was like I was burned. "New cologne?" I asked, pulling away. Jake blinked, clearly not expecting the question. "No." Probably from the Uber driver. He had one of those hanging air fresheners. You know, the strong ones. I nodded with an air of complete understanding. As if this made any sense. As if I hadn't spent the last 2 hours methodically studying Olivia's Instagram, where she posted a selfie from the beach in Myrtle Beach with the caption "Solo Retreat." Just me and the ocean, only in the reflection of her sunglasses. If you look closely, a familiar silhouette loomed. Jake himself, with his stupid gold chain and faded Yankees baseball cap, which I'd asked him to throw away 100 times. My name is Margaret. I'm 34, and I used to consider myself an intelligent woman. I thought I could trust my intuition. But when your entire family looks you in the eye and tells you in one voice that you're overthinking things, you start to doubt that maybe I'm making this all up. "Are you okay?" Maggie Jake casually threw the keys on the nightstand in the hallway. "Yeah. I'm just tired," I muttered. Walking past him into the kitchen, my hands were shaking treacherously. So I grabbed a bottle of wine, at least to keep them occupied. He followed me, leaning his elbows on the refrigerator as usual. It was a pose he adopted automatically when he needed to appear casual. "You're not mad that I missed dinner, no?" He smiled broadly. "Great. You know, I like how zen you've become. You used to stress over every little thing." I silently filled my glass and took a big sip. I nodded like a model wife. The next morning, I called Olivia. "Hi." I tried to sound casual. "How was your retreat?" She laughed. Too loudly. Too deliberately. "Amazing." I needed to get away from everything. Work was driving me crazy. "Where did you go again?" I forgot. "Myrtle Beach. At the Ocean View Resort. You know, you've been there." "Oh. Yeah. Right. What, just thinking about it." In one photo, the guy in the background looks like Jake. There was a pause, then a burst of laughter. "What?" "Magic. Are you serious, I mean? It kind of looks like him." "My God. Margaret. You're being paranoid again." There it was. I swallowed the lump in my throat again. "Sorry. I just..." "Never mind. No. It's okay. I get it. You're very sensitive." I hung up and sat on the edge of the bed, staring at one point. Sensitive. That's what they always say when I ask uncomfortable questions. Sensitive. Emotional. Hysterical. Next call to Mom. "Mom, don't you think it's strange that Liv went on vacation and didn't tell anyone who she was with? She said she went alone." My mother interrupted in a tone that brooked no argument. "I know. But Mom Margaret, your voice has gotten harder. You've always had trust issues. You see betrayal where there isn't any." I bit my cheek until it hurt. "I just think something's going on. But even if something is going on, I'm sure it's nothing serious. Don't work yourself up." I started a notebook that night. Nothing fictional. Just facts. Times. Dates. Screenshots. I needed evidence that couldn't be distorted or ignored. The 3rd of March, Jake said he was in Atlanta for a conference. Olivia posted a photo from a rooftop bar in Charleston. Same sunset. The 10th of March, Jake smells like coconut. Olivia has new coconut body butter. The 15th of March, I found a pink hair tie in the glove compartment of Jake's Honda. I don't wear pink. I didn't tell anyone about my documentation. Not even Jessica. My best friend. Not yet. I needed more. I needed certainty. A week later, everyone gathered at my sister Natalie's house in Westchester. Traditional family dinner. Mom. Dad. Jake. Olivia. Andrew. I watched everyone closely. How Jake and Olivia carefully avoided looking at each other. How Mom steered conversations away from me. How Natalie kept checking her iPhone, as if she was waiting for an important text. "You're so quiet," my father said. Passing the mashed potatoes. Just tired. Still not sleeping well, my mother feigned concern. I nodded. She reached over and patted my hand. Maybe you should see a therapist, try yoga, everything was so good for you before. You're right. I smiled. Jake glanced at me, trying to figure out whether I'd bought it or not. After dinner, I excused myself to use the bathroom. Olivia's purse was sitting on the counter. Open. I looked inside. Lip gloss. Keys. A folded receipt from a hotel in Myrtle Beach. 2 nights. King bed suite. I took a photo with my iPhone. Carefully put everything back and left. That evening, Jessica texted, "We need to talk." She called immediately. "What happened? I think Jake is cheating on me." Pause. With who I hesitated. With Olivia. Silence. Then, Madji. I know how it sounds. Do you have proof? Not yet. Then find it. After the conversation, I sat in the dark. Scrolling through Olivia's Instagram again, I enlarged the beach photo. Now the reflection was clear. The baseball cap. The chain. The profile. It all matched. I saved the image in a folder called Truth. I'm not crazy. Not hysterical. I'm not imagining things, they're just very good at lying. And I have proof. I silently shoved my phone with the enlarged photo under Olivia's nose. She blinked. Her lips parted. What is this? You tell me. She stared at the image. At her sunglasses. At Jake's reflection behind her. Her face contorted. That's not him. Really, I tilted the screen. Because it looks a lot like his Yankees cap. The one he says brings good luck. You're crazy. She recoiled as if I'd hit her. You always get worked up and drag everyone into your drama. I'm just asking a question. No. You're accusing me again. My voice cracked. Do you even understand how hard I've tried to rebuild our relationship and now rebuild what I crossed my arms? Did you go to Myrtle Beach with my husband? I didn't. She was already screaming through tears. You're sick. Margaret, you need help. I burst out laughing. I couldn't help it. That's rich. Hearing that from a woman who lies and cries on cue, she flew out of my apartment, slamming the door so hard that the dishes in the cabinet rattled. I stood in the middle of the hallway. My heart was pounding. My hands were shaking. But not from doubt, from rage. That evening, I met Jessica at a Starbucks near the subway station. She slid into the chair opposite, looking at me searchingly. You look like hell. Can't sleep. I held out my phone. She scrolled through photos, screenshots, timestamps, the hotel receipt. Holy shit. She breathed. Okay. This is bad. Let me guess, she yelled at you. Called you crazy. She took a sip of her latte, then leaned closer. You need bulletproof evidence. Not breadcrumbs the whole damn loaf. I don't know where to get that. I know someone. Former NYPD detective from white-collar crimes. Now he works as a private investigator. Mainly cyber stuff. But he knows his way around cases like this. Reliable. I raised an eyebrow. Seriously, do I look like I'm kidding? That's how I met Michael Kowalski. He showed up at my place 2 days later. Tall. Broad-shouldered. With a gravelly voice and a look that made you want to confess all your sins. He was dressed simply jeans and a black polo. He clearly didn't care about impressions. This was appealing. Margaret, yes. Jessica filled me in. You need dirt on your husband and sister-in-law. I need evidence. He nodded. You have money, yes. I'll need time too. We sat at my kitchen table. I laid out the folder with everything I'd collected. He flipped through it methodically. Most people wait until the trains left the station. I want to be prepared before I act. Smart. I'll start with phone records. Hotel security footage. GPS tracking. Give me a week. He stood up, but turned at the door. I assume you want to know the truth. I said nothing. He nodded. The answer was obvious. A week later, an email arrived at work. Subject line, delivery. I locked my office door before opening the attachment. 6 photos. Jake and Olivia checking into a hotel. Holding hands. Her head on his shoulder. Him kissing her neck in the elevator. The date, the 17th of November. Our anniversary. The weekend when he supposedly went to Tampa for work. I stared at the screen until my eyes burnt. Then I forwarded everything to my personal Gmail and deleted it from my work account. That evening, I printed the photos and laid them out on my bed, studying their faces for a long time. How they smiled, how comfortable they looked together, how smug they appeared. In the morning, I called my mother. "I want to talk." "Of course." "Honey, come over." I walked into her Upper East Side apartment as if I was carrying a time bomb in my purse. She made tea and sat across from me. Everything seemed normal. "I think I should apologize to Liv," I said quietly. My mother's eyebrows went up. Really, I was wrong. I see that now I was projecting my fears. She smiled broadly. "That's very mature of you, Madje. I just want peace in the family." She reached across and squeezed my hand. "We all do." I smiled back. Then I went to Olivia's apartment. She opened the door with a wary look. "What do you want?" "To apologize." She blinked. For what I was wrong about the trip, about the photo. I let fear get the better of me. She slowly stepped back, letting me in. We sat in her living room. She looked at me expectantly, as if waiting for a trap. "I'm trying to be a better person," I continued, more mature. "To leave all this behind." She nodded, her eyes darting around. I leaned closer. "Tell Jake the same." She shuddered. I smiled. "See you at Sunday dinner." "At home?" I called Michael. "Keep digging." "Got it." Then I called my lawyer. "Sandra, I'm ready to start the paperwork." "Divorce. Not just that. I want everything they built on my back to collapse." "Margaret, are you sure?" "I've never been more sure in my life." Sunday dinner was again at Natalie's house in Westchester. Her kitchen, as always, smelled of garlic and wine, and forced laughter echoed through the house like an annoying soundtrack. I walked in with a bottle of Pinot Grigio and a smile that wasn't mine. "Margaret," Natalie kissed me on the cheek. "You look wonderful. So peaceful. Meditation." I lied. Jake was already there, sitting next to Olivia on the couch, not touching, but close enough to make my stomach churn. He looked at me and smiled, as if nothing had happened between us. "Want a drink?" he offered. Of course. I held out the wine. "Will you open it?" He nodded and went to the kitchen for glasses. Olivia followed him without saying a word. I turned to Andrew, who was pretending to be absorbed in his iPhone. "Hi." He looked up in surprise. "Oh. Hey. How are you?" "Great." He nodded and looked back at the screen. We sat around the dining table. Mom, Dad, Natalia, Andrew, Jake, Olivia, and me. The table felt both too small and too loud. Mom poured the wine with such reverence, as if she were serving communion, and smiled at me so sweet, as if we were best friends. "How are things at the firm?" she asked. "Fine," I answered briefly. Still in the same office, Dad joined in. "For now, yes." Natalie didn't miss the opportunity to shine. "But Liv's boutique is doing amazing. She just got a new investor." I raised an eyebrow. "Really?" Olivia beamed, showing all 32 teeth. "Yes. Finally found someone who truly believed in my vision." Jake chuckled into his glass. I slowly looked at him. "An angel investor, that's wonderful." I continued. "I hope the investor is reliable." "Of course," Olivia said, carefully avoiding my gaze. I waited until dessert to cast the line. "I've been thinking a lot lately," I said, putting my fork down. "About forgiveness." The table fell silent. "That's good," my mother said carefully. "I think I've been too harsh, too suspicious. I want to fix that." "Very mature décision." My father chimed in. Jake covered my hand with his. "I'm proud of you. I let him do that." "Thank you." Then I turned to Olivia. "I forgive you." She froze. For what I tilted my head. "You know," Natalie coughed. "Maybe we should, no?" I interrupted. "Let's stop pretending. It's exhausting to be dishonest." Olivia laughed nervously. "Madje, I really don't understand what you're talking about." I leaned back in my chair. "I forgive you for sleeping with my husband." Dead silence. Jake choked. "Okay, this isn't funny anymore. I'm not joking." Mom jumped up. "Margaret, stop." "No. Seriously. It's okay. I've come to terms with it." Dad looked like he wanted to disappear. Andrew buried his face in his plate. I just want to move forward. I continued. No more secrets. Jake shook his head. This is insane. I agree. I stood up and raised my glass. To family, to those who lie to your face and smile. I clinked my glass with Olivia's. She didn't flinch. As we were leaving, my mother pulled me aside. What are you doing telling the truth? You're making things worse. I leaned toward her. How long have you known? She tensed. Known what, that I'm right. She looked around, then whispered, It's not that simple. How long? A heavy sigh. Months. Maybe more. I pulled back. And you didn't tell me? We didn't want to hurt you. I laughed. You didn't want to deal with me. You always overreact. I nodded slowly. Right. It's not your fault, I said quietly. You knew everything and let me sit at that table like a fool. We thought it would be easier if you didn't know. I looked into her eyes. Easier for who she said nothing. I smiled. You're right. I do need to grow up. And I left without looking back. The next day, I was sitting in my lawyer's office. I need a case. I said, adultery and financial fraud. Sandra raised an eyebrow. Do you have evidence? I'm working on it. We went through the documents, line by line. I signed each page with a firm hand. That evening, I called Michael. I need to check Jake's finances. Already started. He replied, You won't like what I found. Go ahead. He's been withdrawing money from your joint Chase account, transferring it to Olivia's business LLC. My heart sank. How much? 16,000. Maybe more. I closed my eyes. Keep digging. Got it. I hung up and sat in the dark. In the morning, a new email arrived from Michael. An audio recording was attached. I pressed play. My mother's voice filled the room. Margaret needs to stay quiet. She can't find out about the inheritance. I paused it, then turned on my phone's voice recorder and listened again, capturing it. I saved the file as insurance. I wasn't going to just burn down their house of cards. I was going to salt the earth so nothing would ever grow there again. Do you think they suspect anything? Jessica asked, popping a grape into her mouth. We were sitting in my Honda outside the boutique that Olivia had opened 2 months ago. The same one that I now knew had been financed with my money. No, I answered. They think I've given up, that I finally became that quiet, submissive version they always wanted. She looked at me. You scare me when you smile like that. I'm just tired of being polite. Are you really going to do this? Jessica asked. I handed her my phone. Listen. She pressed play. My mother's voice filled the car again. Margaret needs to stay quiet. She can't find out about the inheritance. Jessica's eyes widened. Are you kidding me? Like a heart attack. Dumb. She breathed. This is like a Netflix series. No. I corrected. This is a crime scene. For the next 3 weeks, I played the part. Family dinners. Sweet texts to Jake. Even a fake visit to a couples therapist, where I let him rant about how hard it was to be misunderstood. You're so strong, he said, reaching across the table. Most women would have left. I smiled. I'm not like most women. Meanwhile, Michael worked around the clock. He found bank transfers, forged signatures, even a shell company in Jake's name, through which money was laundered for Olivia's boutique. Going to file charges, he asked. Not yet. First, I want to put on a show. It'll be messy. Perfect. I brought Jessica to the next family dinner. For support, I explained. She's helping me heal. Mom beamed. That's wonderful. It's good to have a neutral person around. Jessica smiled sweetly. I'm just here to observe. Jake leaned toward me and whispered, You've been glowing lately. Must be from the peace. From liberation. I corrected with a grin. Like I told you, letting go means being free. I nodded. And clarity is power. That evening, Michael sent me a spreadsheet. Every dollar Jake had taken, every transfer to Olivia, every forged document. At the bottom was a note, enough for fraud, embezzlement, and breach of fiduciary duty. Let's go to the bank. Yes, I said. The next day, I booked a private dining room at a restaurant in Manhattan. Full-service event. I told my family I wanted to celebrate my birthday. I want us all to be together. I announced, no drama. Just love. They all agreed. Of course they agreed. They thought I was finally broken and going to be compliant. I met with the restaurant manager in person. I need the staff to follow specific instructions, and some of them won't be regular staff. He frowned. Excuse me, I pushed a thick envelope toward him. I pay for discretion and quality service. He peered inside, his eyes widening. Understood. I hired a videographer. Said it was for the family archive. I explained where to point the camera, what to shoot, when to zoom in. I briefed Jessica on the full plan. I need you to stay neutral. Smile. Nod. Stay calm. She grinned. I was born for this. I also made arrangements with Michael. He would be among the servers. He would be the one to deliver the documents. The evening before dinner, I sat in my living room, looking at the envelope with Jake's name on it. Divorce papers. Fraud charges. Complete dossier. I didn't cry. Didn't doubt. I just put the envelope in my bag and zipped it shut. I dressed carefully. Black dress. Red lipstick. Minimal jewelry. I wanted to look like a woman in control, not like a widow at a funeral. The restaurant was dimly lit, creating an intimate atmosphere. Everyone arrived on time. Jake kissed me on the cheek. Olivia hugged me. Mom gave me a gift. You look stunning, she said. Thank you. I feel renewed. We sat, drank, laughed. Jake stood for a toast. To Margaret, et declared, raising his glass. To a woman of grace, forgiveness, and strength. Everyone applauded. Mom smiled at me like she'd won. I clinked glasses and leaned toward the nearest server. We're ready, I whispered. Michael nodded and stepped forward. Jake Anderson, he said loudly enough for everyone to turn around. This is for you. He held out the envelope. Jake blinked. What the hell is this? Fraud charges. Embezzlement. Misappropriation of funds. I stood up and itemized the accusations. Olivia gasped. What? Sit down. I barked. Mom jumped up. Margaret. What are you doing? Revealing the truth. I nodded to the videographer. The projector screen lit up. Hotel security footage. Jake and Olivia. The elevator. A kiss. A hotel room. Room service. Gasps swept through the room. Then came screenshots, bank transfers, emails, and finally the audio recording. My mother's voice filled the room. Margaret needs to stay quiet. She can't find out about the inheritance. Mom went white. Turn it off. No. I snapped. We're just getting started. I turned to Natalie. You helped hide it. Lied to my face. She stammered. I didn't know you knew. Then to my father, and you let them destroy me. He looked down. I pulled out the last envelope and slid it across the table. What is this? He asked hoarsely. DNA test results. He opened the envelope, read it, and froze. You're not my biological father, I said. Mom gasped. Surprise. I added, this is what happens when you build your life on lies. The truth always finds a way. Dead silence filled the room. I smiled. Happy birthday to me. The silence after my words stretched so long you could hear the candles flickering. Dad, or the man I used to call Dad, just stared at the paper in his hands as if it were written in alien script. Mom was the first to recover. You had no right. I had every right. I answered calmly. You've lied to me my entire life. That's not the point, no. The point is that you all sat back and watched me get humiliated. Watched me fall apart while defending them. Olivia covered her face with her hand, her shoulders shaking. Jake flipped through the divorce papers as if he could make them disappear. This is some kind of joke, he muttered. You can't be serious. Oh, I'm dead serious. You're facing charges for fraud, adultery, and theft. You'll be lucky if they let you keep your toothbrush. He jumped up, raising his voice. You can't do this to me. You did this to yourself. Olivia lifted her tear-streaked face. Mascara smeared down her cheeks. Maggie. Please. Not now, Jessica calmly sipped her wine. Watching the show, Mom pointed a trembling finger at her. And you helped her. Jessica raised her eyebrows. I helped her survive. Natalie slammed her palm on the table. This is monstrous. You planned everything. Every detail I did. I confirmed. Even the seating chart. Andrew finally spoke up. Maybe everyone should calm down, Andrew. I turned to him. You knew everything and kept quiet. So sit down and shut up. The final slide appeared on the projector screen behind me. Bank statements, boutique record, and a notarized document confirming that Jake had transferred $16,000 from our joint account to Olivia's business. I turned to my sister-in-law. You owe me $16,000. She shook her head, whispering. I didn't know. He said it was a gift. You knew. You just didn't care. Jake's voice wavered. You're destroying everything. For what, revenge? No. For truth. For myself, a man in a dark suit stepped out from behind the servers. Jake Anderson. Jake blinked. Who the hell are you, Detective Rodriguez? NYPD Financial Crimes. We have some questions about funds transferred from your wife's account. Mom gasped. You called the police? Not yet. I replied, but they're very interested. They're especially curious about your inheritance scheme. Mom. Her face went ashen. You wouldn't dare. Turns out I would. When you use an inheritance to hide assets and manipulate your adult daughter, the law takes notice. My father finally spoke. Margaret. This has gone too far. I looked at him. You're not even my father. Your opinion doesn't count here. He flinched as if I'd slapped him. The detective handed Jake a business card. We'll expect you at the precinct tomorrow morning. He left, and deadly silence fell over the room. Jessica cleared her throat, matter-of-factly. By the way, Liv, I bought out your lease last week. Olivia looked up. What, it's mine now, including all the debts registered in your name. My lawyer will be in touch. Olivia jumped up so abruptly her chair fell over. You can't just take everything from me. You took my husband, my money, my family. I stood up. I thought I'd return the favor. Tears streamed down her face. I didn't want this to happen. Too late. Jake stepped toward me. Madji. Listen. We can work this out. Fix everything, I laughed. You think this is a negotiation I messed up? I know. But I still love you. You don't even know what love looks like. He grabbed my arm. I jerked away. Touch me again and I'll add assault to the charges. He froze. I looked around at everyone present. You all lied. You all knew. And you let me drown. No one looked up. You taught me to be silent. To be ashamed. Now I'm teaching you about consequences. I headed for the exit. Jessica. Let's go. Jake shouted after me. You'll regret this. I stopped. Looked over my shoulder. No. You will. We walked out. The door slammed like the final page. Outside. The cool evening air hit my face. I reached the alley behind the restaurant, leaned against the brick wall, and took out my compact lipstick in place. Clear eyes. Steady hand. I smiled at my reflection. The consequences came quickly. By the time I got home, my phone was buzzing nonstop. Jake. Olivia. Mom. Evan, Natalie, who had ignored me for months. I didn't answer anyone. Instead, I poured myself wine, kicked off my heels, and settled on my couch. Jessica was already scrolling through social media. Girl, it's already online. She showed me her phone. Some gossip blog had written about a scandal at an upscale Manhattan restaurant. Who leaked it? She shrugged. Anyone could have. The videographer was using professional equipment. You know how fast gossip spreads. I took a sip of wine. Good. Let them talk. I woke up to headlines in my news feed. Fashion boutique owner at center of fraud and adultery scandal with sister-in-law's husband. Olivia's face was on the main page. Confused. With smeared makeup. Jake's name was in bold. Mine wasn't mentioned directly. But anyone who knew us could easily connect the dots. I opened my email. Michael had sent new materials. Subject inheritance. Final nails. Inside were scanned documents showing how Mom had transferred money from inheritance accounts to shell companies where Jake was listed as a silent partner, all in violation of federal banking laws. I forwarded everything to my lawyer. The response came instantly. Enough to freeze accounts and file criminal charges. Ready, I typed back. Burn it all down. By noon, Jake was calling nonstop. I let it ring. Then the texts started pouring in. We need to talk. You're destroying everything. I'm sorry. Damn it. Just answer from Olivia, please don't. I really didn't know about the money. I swear, I didn't respond. Instead, I drove to the boutique. The windows were covered with brown paper. There was a sign on the door, closed for inventory. But I knew the truth. Jessica had already initiated foreclosure proceedings, high rent, massive debts. The dream was over. Jessica met me there with a key, half-empty shelves, overpriced junk, the cloying smell of vanilla candles masking the scent of failure. She opened a desk drawer. Olivia kept receipts in here. There were photos taped to the wall, her and Jake smiling on a boat. At the beach, I tore them down one by one. That evening, Michael called. "You won't believe this. Your husband tried to move funds through an offshore account in the Caymans, but he used a flagged routing number. The FBI's Financial Crimes Unit got an automatic alert. They're tracking him now. Interview tomorrow at Federal Plaza." I smiled. Perfect. That evening, Jake knocked on my door. I opened it with the chain still on. He looked disheveled, unshaven, with bags under his eyes. All the polish was gone. "Margaret," he began. "Please," I waited. "I didn't mean for this to happen." "Yes, I screwed up, but this is too much." I looked at him. "You loved me," he said. "Doesn't that mean anything?" I stepped onto the landing, closing the door behind me. "You only loved yourself. I was just collateral damage." He reached for me. I stepped back. "You're not sorry. You're scared." He didn't argue. "Liv is really bad. She won't eat, cries all day. You destroyed her. She destroyed herself. She was like your sister. Now she's just someone I stopped protecting." He looked at me for a long time. "You're not the woman I married anymore." "Thank God." He turned and walked down the hallway. I didn't watch him go. The next day, I met Jessica at a coffee shop in Soho. She was smirking before I even sat down. "Your mother's lost it." She called me. "Thinks I can talk sense into you." I raised an eyebrow. "And I told her you were busy building an empire." I snorted. "Perfect." "She called you a sociopath." Jessica added, "I bit into my croissant." "Fair enough." "And your non-father Sergey moved out." I paused. "Really?" "Yeah. After the DNA bomb, she's been radio silent. She's losing control." I leaned back. "About time." Jessica looked at me searchingly. "How are you, honestly? I don't know. But I'm free." That evening, I lit a candle in my living room. The same vanilla coconut scent that Olivia loved. I watched the flame dance, then blew it out and sat in darkness. Then I went to the hallway mirror and looked at myself. No more pretense. No more submission. Just me. The boutique officially closed on Friday. Jessica sent me a photo. Chains on the doors. Orange foreclosure. Notice in the window. Sheriff's seal. And that was it. Poof. I didn't respond. Just stared at the screen. Then turned my phone face down. An hour later, Jake came barging into my office without knocking, as if he still had rights. "Maggie, we need to talk." I didn't look up from my laptop. "You need to leave. I'm not going anywhere until you listen." I stood up. 30 seconds. He closed the door, ran his hand through his hair. "I'm losing everything. Business. Accounts. Reputation. Should have thought of that earlier. I didn't steal. You forged my signature." His mouth opened and closed like a fish. I walked around the desk and stood in front of him. "You lied. You cheated. You used me. And now you're surprised by consequences. I didn't think you'd do this." "That's the point. Neither of you did." He stepped closer. "I messed up, but I still love you," I laughed. "You don't even know what love looks like." "Maggie, get out." He didn't move. Then I opened the door and repeated it louder. People in neighboring offices turned to look. Jake clenched his jaw but left without another word. I slammed the door and turned the lock. That evening, Olivia called. I let it go to voicemail. Then a text came. "Please, just talk to me. I feel awful." I stared at the screen for a long time. Then called Jessica. She texted that she feels awful. She felt great when she was sleeping with your husband. "I know. I won't let guilt creep in now. You warned her." "I won't respond." "Good. Let her stew." The next day I went to see my mother unannounced. She opened the door in a silk robe. Her hair was disheveled, her eyes puffy. "Well?" she said. "The executioner comes to visit. Don't start." She stepped back, letting me in. The living room looked like a tornado had hit. Documents everywhere.